Welcome to episode 8 of Sheev's Throne Room podcast. We got a little bit of a weird one this week because we decided to watch Seven Samurai, which was one of the major influences on Star Wars. And so we're going to talk about that and what we liked, and apparently Adrian didn't like it, so we're going to go into that. All right. So, Adrian, thoughts?
Dude, I'm looking at this shit right now. Is the Hidden Fortress the same thing?
No, it's Kurosawa,
You
so...
watched a different
We didn't
movie?
even watch the same movie.
No, I watched Seven Samurais.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I was just googling right now, being like, I wonder if because
Maybe.
I'm convinced, dude, that I watched the wrong thing.
Well, no, if you watched the one on HBO, we watched
No, I
Three
did,
and a
I
half
did.
hours?
It was. I watched the right one, but like throughout the movie, I was like, am I watching the wrong one? I
You
went
mean
through
like-
like Discord messages and like, no, I'm watching the right one.
Was it like because you weren't seeing any parallels to
Dude,
Were you just
no,
not
it wasn't
connected?
that. I wasn't thinking like Star Wars or why I didn't like it. It was just personal. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it was a very old film, so there's a lot of things that we don't do now in films. But
Mhm.
just a lot of things just dragged for me. I don't
So I
know
guess
who
Well,
was
I mean,
who.
I feel like Japanese movies already, like even
Mhm.
animated ones, they stay on shots for a long time. So there's a
They
lot
do.
of like,
Mhm.
in Ghost in the Shell, for instance, like they do a lot of shots where it's just like the city, and you're just looking at like 10-second long shots, which is long as hell in movie
Mhm.
time. And they just hold that, and it's just like maybe a slower paced music, just kind of like atmospheric. So if you're tired, then yeah, it probably feels like it is.
I was
dragging more
widely
film.
awake. I had coffee there earlier that day, so I was really I was
Kinda helped.
there. But I mean, speaking of like long shots, like one clear long shot was like every time they killed the enemies,
Oh,
they
you
would
s-
go to like their banner and like exit out. I'm like, that is so unnecessary. But that didn't bother me. I was just like, oh, okay. But based on like Star Wars, I couldn't find anything. I don't know. Like, where
So I
is
feel
this?
like in terms of the first couple of movies, it's more like
Yeah, it's based off.
I mean,
4,
it's
5, and
obviously
6.
not like direct references as much. I mean,
Yeah.
there are some like, and I was talking to Diego a little bit about it, but in Clone Wars, there's definitely like a very clear inspiration and almost
Oh, yeah.
like
That and Mando.
shot for shot sort of thing. Yeah, and in Mandalorian,
Or
We'll probably talk
from
about
Seven
that after.
Samurai.
There's an
Mm.
episode that's literally just the same story,
Interesting.
except it's bounty hunters instead of samurai.
Gotcha.
And then obviously in Mandalorian, Dio, you haven't seen it yet, but it's kind of the same thing. Mando goes to a planet that's also just kind of these like farmers, like
Oh,
they're
yeah.
very similar, and then they're being invaded by the what do they
Bandits.
call it at this point?
Bandits, quote unquote.
I guess yeah.
There's the one with the
And it's even the
AT-ST,
same
whatever.
thing, you know, they're like flooding some of their marshes or whatever so that they can trap this.
They even have spears and stuff inside of the
troops
water,
coming
don't they?
through.
I guess I was looking more at like the smaller stuff than
Yeah,
like
well,
an overall
there-
picture.
I
There's like the screen wipes where it like
Yeah, for
that was
sure.
a big thing that stayed in Star Wars forever.
Yeah,
But
it
that was-
doesn't like cut from one shot to the next. It's always like either a side swipe a
Yeah.
lot of the time, or like some fades.
Yeah.
So it's like these transitions those definitely are in Star Wars for sure. It's like Windows Movie Maker Star Wipe. I guess I don't know. I feel like it's not super like similar to Star Wars. but I guess it
Thematically, I would
depends
say
on
it's
some of the,
more,
influences.
Stylistically as well.
and I would say how they do the characters. Like
Mhm.
I loved the characters before they even got to the village.
Yeah,
Yeah, the samurais were good characters. I
Like
thought they
just
were
how they
interesting.
set everybody up.
they
I'm like,
were all dope.
yeah,
Mhm.
There was much more humor than I was expecting
Yeah.
in the movie.
Yeah.
It's
it was
funny.
funny.
It's
It was
funny.
funny. Yeah.
It was good
Fucking-
humor.
Kikuchio, the guy who was like the farmer, but he was like I guess posing as a samurai until
Oh
he
yeah,
kind of like
Mifune. Yeah.
outs
Yeah.
himself. He was funny as hell.
He was gonna play Obi-Wan in New Hope at one point.
Oh
No way.
Yeah.
He should have, dude. That guy was
Wow.
good. I really enjoyed him.
He's one of Kurosawa's like main dudes. He's always in his movies. But yeah, he was hilarious. Like
I liked his character.
him
I
like
liked how
try
they
to
like,
get
gave him
him try to get the gun was the funniest thing in the world.
But yeah, I
Swap
guess even in that, in the humor, I feel like the humor aspect actually is kind of similar. Like specifically that scene where he's getting the gun, he's just like sitting there chit chatting next to the dude. And he's like, "What?" Like like
It was
He
very
try to like
Han.
runs
Kinda like-
out for like a battle and then gets shot. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh shit!" and runs back in.
sort of
The
similar,
humor was
like
probably the
them
best.
putting on like stormtrooper outfits to try and just like blend in and then just glacking the dudes next to him, sort of thing.
Mhm.
Overall, I
that's
really
fun.
enjoyed the movie, even though it was long as
Mhm.
hell.
Yeah.
I can see why
Definitely,
they shorted
two
it down
sessions.
for white
Yeah.
people.
I was trying to wonder like what they would have cut out because it's what? How much shorter is the?
It's like 2 hours
Short.
is the recut.
Oh, so they took out an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Damn.
Holy shit!
And
Yeah,
I think,
I am
and
curious
I
what they
could see
took
that,
out.
though.
I think a lot of it is like they shorten the shots, like you said, how
Mm.
it's like there's some long shots on there.
Mhm.
A lot of the dialogue in with the farmers and stuff like that, I think got cut out, but I don't understand why you would, because that makes the characters right. Like my favorite farmer was that what's his face Yui.
Oh yes,
the one with the
dude
horse.
permanent like frown. face.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
Oh.
sad face. I'm like, this dude's wearing a mask, right? Like he's always just like scared.
He's
shitless,
awesome.
Like, "Arr." His mouth is just like an upside down U. The whole movie.
And even like when they went to go like recruit the samurais,
Yeah.
same facial expression throughout the whole movie.
I was like, all right, homie. Yeah, Yohei, timid old.
Even though I didn't like it, like I'm still glad I watched it. You know.
Yeah.
Now you guys explain like some of the stuff from Star Wars, I'm like thinking back. I'm like, okay, that makes sense, and I still enjoyed the humor that they had in it. It was a lot of fun. But yeah,
really. Did you notice that they're running everywhere, no matter what they're
yes,
doing? They're
Yeah.
running everywhere. Like when
Like it makes sense why their legs are so fucking thick too. Like that one time,
Yeah.
I'm like, look at the size of his calves, man. Like what the hell? This
And
dude's
it's not like they
literally
live
like
on
an ox.
plains either. They're fucking hiking everywhere. It's mountains
It's
and
just up
hills
and down, up
everywhere
and
they
down, up
go.
And I mean, it's 1954 when that came out, so that was all practical. So they were just
Mhm.
running up those hills.
but isn't
Like,
that also
was the one-
Japanese style in the movies?
Yeah,
Okay, I feel like
I
there's
just
a
That was
thing
something that was
where
really cool too. Just knowing how much of that was practical. Because they have a lot of like dope shots where like nowadays it would have definitely been a set and most of it
yeah.
probably
Well,
just
all the
CGI.
raining shots, I'm like, they did that in the weather. They would have had to.
Bro, there's a lot of
But-
stunts too, because you see so many people get decked off a horse.
Yeah,
and,
someone got ran over
yeah.
by a
Yeah.
horse.
God,
Like,
they're
I think
just falling
with-
those 8
Yeah,
feet.
in Asian cinema, usually it's like they just do that shit for real.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
there's
literally
no
just, like,
pads.
yeah, throw them up. There's no pads. Yeah, like don't pad the guy up. Like you'll see it through the clothes. Like don't
There's
do it.
literally a guy that got
No
run
pads on
over
the
by the
ground,
horse in the
just throw him
background.
off the horse.
Like during the battle,
I'm sure.
one of the
The one
horses
that's
went.
getting dragged through the mud.
No, like
Yeah.
just a villager just gets hit by a horse in the background. It's not even like our main shot. I'm like, that was real.
It wasn't even like scripted. Yeah, it's like the horse just fucking decked this dude.
Yeah, I'm like,
It sucks for him. Man. Hopefully he doesn't ruin the take right now by standing up.
I'm sure the day was raining. They were all like, "Oh, thank God, we get some cushion."
The mud.
Yeah, the mud and the fucking puddles, dude. There's so much water. That must have been such a shitty day to film that.
I'm curious. I'm gonna look it up. How long it took, like how many days of shooting it took for them.
Must have been a good while.
1 week.
Yeah, it was all done in a week.
No way.
Uh,
They had some pretty dope shots. And I love every time every time they knock people off the horse, all you would see is like the bottom half of the horse and then the person falling. You never saw them actually getting hit. So
So it was 3 months of pre-production and then 148 days of actual shooting spread out over the year.
Fuck.
Damn.
Oh, that is a long.
So it was like 148 days of shooting divided by 4 is essentially what happened.
It's kind of like an Avengers movie as well, except there was no.
Yeah, they're like doing the
standalone.
recruiting of these like
Yeah.
characters.
Because they don't all come together at once. Like they kind of like characterize each samurai as he comes in.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like there was recruiting for a solid hour and a half.
Yeah.
That was the first half, essentially.
Yeah. and then like it was essentially 3 acts. It was like the recruiting, the training, and then the battle. The battle was like an hour long.
Hmm.
Hey, I remember when they're about to start the battle, I was like, I'm curious, how long do I have left? An hour?
Yeah, I remember they got all the Seven Samurai. I'm like, all right, now all they have to do is go back and fight. I wonder where I'm at. Yeah, I'm an hour into the movie at this. I'm like, okay, let's
I
see
think
what's going on.
that part with them spending the months or whatever it was before harvest, I was like, okay, this is getting to me. Like some of that was needed, but oh my God.
Well, it also like built up like the relationship between the
It did.
what's her face? I can't pronounce any of their name.
Shino?
Yeah, that sounds right. And the young
The
samurai.
daughter, right?
Yeah, the daughter and the
Yeah.
young samurai.
That
Which
was all,
again,
like,
again, when
45
they were going to
minutes.
bank, they ran into the hut. That was
Their arms don't swing; they just sprint with their legs.
What was the whole point behind the whole running?
I think that's just culture. I think,
It's gotta be.
Mhm.
or maybe that's how they
Even
speed
in
up
the
the
one
pace of
line.
their movies. I don't know.
There was like one line in the movie that stood out to me when you said they're running everywhere, and it's like war is about how much you run. Like you run on the attack, and then you run back for the defense, and when you stop running is when you die. So there was some
Oh yeah, that's literally like
element
a
that wove
literal
it
line,
into
right?
it. Yeah, it's a line's like you need to run. So I kind
Yeah.
of like it, that it isn't just this weird, quirky
No,
part
it's
of the movie. Like
thematic,
it's established. Yeah, I like that. I appreciated that.
and I really like the old samurai guy. He was dope.
He was so cool.
He didn't
The
seem like
first
the
one, basically?
yeah.
Yeah.
Basically the leader.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I've almost seen him in something else. He had a very familiar face.
Don't be racist, but it's not Godzilla.
No, I didn't think it'd be Godzilla like 60 years later when he's already old. Fucking 50. Oh, unless you mean like the older Godzillas. In which case, maybe.
Yeah, actually, it might be. I'm IMDbing it right now.
Holy fuck, dude! I'm looking at his filmography right now. This dude was in like 200 movies.
Stop. What?
It's a lot. It like literally. You know what? I'm gonna do this for y'all's sake.
That's
So if you wanna
insane.
direct your attention over here. This is his filmography.
No,
No.
Oh my gosh!
it is a full screen of text.
Like,
What?
this is not messing around. That is insane. It just goes to show like the commitment of all these actors too, because there's a lot of the times you can see their faces in all of these shots. You know, they're trudging through the mud. It's like how many like actors are actually doing all this stuff now? It's
Like
Uh,
two.
all of this practical stuff. Yeah, they're literally running up and down a hill. What's his name? Kiko.
Kuchio?
Yeah, Kikuchiyo. He like literally climbs this whole hut to just plant the flag
Yeah,
at the top, and like it's him. Like it has to be. Like you're looking at his face.
Mhm.
It's not like they're green screening his face on top of like a body double.
Andres on
Cool.
IMDb is showing me he's done 308.
Yeah,
Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
god.
This one movie took 148 days, and homie's in how many?
I
300.
know 300.
he's
His
He was probably
first
filming
movie.
like 5
Longer
movies
here.
at the same time. Like he had.
Probably.
Wow.
You'd have
He-
to, right?
he was in the original Godzilla.
Oh
Nice.
my God.
Nice.
Holy sh-
That makes sense.
His last movie was in 1981, and his first movie was 1934.
I guess that's how you do it. Nonstop for
Yeah.
50 years.
Dude, he died a year later after his last movie.
Yeah.
It was probably the last movie that killed him.
That's how you know he
Yeah.
would have kept going. Oh, and that Godzilla was literally the same year they did this one then. Also
No way.
1954. So he probably was filming. He was in a couple Godzilla movies, but yeah, well, because the production was spread out over a year. It said the studio actually like shut down twice while they were doing it. I was looking up the production stuff here.
And then
It's pretty
Mifune-
insane. But
Mifune's
it's-
doing a lot too.
Funny how there's even similarities in that because wasn't Star Wars kind of played with its own sort of, I guess,
Budget
worries that because they like worries that like is this doable? Like, can one make this movie?
Yeah, it
in
was
terms
very
of its
very
ambition
much in the
and this and that.
same. That's why George Lucas was such a fan of Kurosawa, is because their production like just story was so similar, in how they told stories and stuff like that.
Yeah,
When
because it says here like
Go on. Go on.
Okay.
No, go
And it
ahead.
just says Toho Studios closed down production at least twice. Each time Kurosawa just went fishing, reasoning that the studio had already heavily invested in the production and they'd have to just allow him to complete the picture. He's like, all
What
right,
a
well,
boss.
you're not going to back out now. He's like, with the amount of money you dumped in this.
So yeah, he
Yeah.
probably saved the studio a couple times then.
Mhm. I wonder what its reception was back then.
Because now
this
nowadays
must have
it's
done
like
well, right?
it's right
Is it
now it's
such
like
an epic-
100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Damn.
Let's see.
Had a budget of 1.1 million and it generated 2.3.
This movie?
Which I mean,
Okay.
back then that's an insane budget.
Yeah.
Got a lot of people. All those farmers they had to fucking feed.
Honestly.
It's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's see. I want to see at the time though. I mean, I don't know if there was film critics back then, because I mean that was when movies were
No,
just.
well, I just meant like box office wise, like how it was received.
Oh,
and
okay.
stuff.
So I mean, it made
You know, where
basically
people
double.
go and actually see it, like, and clearly they were.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's gone basically the samurai genre inspired the whole Western genre. Weirdly enough,
Not surprised.
because I mean, Magnificent Seven, literally the same thing.
Mhm.
If you go on any of the Magnificent, whatever that movie, any of the remakes or the original, it's Kurosawa is credited in it as one of the writers, even though he didn't do anything for it in terms of actual writing.
Like legally, they have to cover their ass because they're just
Yeah.
telling the same story.
Yeah, and I was just like doing some research into Kurosawa. Just I wanted to see. Do you know that the game that came out recently, Neo?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, that was based off one of his writings that he did that just never got made. So now it makes me want to kind of go play that game because I'm like, I didn't really play it before.
I've heard like just good things about that game as well.
Yeah,
But it's funny because like this did obviously have all that influence on the Western genre,
Mhm.
which is also I guess what feeds into Star Wars as well. Like obviously Mando, like he literally is just like, you know,
LeBron.
that same archetype, yeah. But even kind of like Han Solo as well, just this like what's the word I'm looking for? Just this like lone ranger sort of thing,
Rogue?
you know, like yeah, this Ronin, if you will.
Even like the values that the samurai were having in the movie, very much like the Jedi. It was, I mean,
Mhm.
pretty. You could,
Yeah, that's pretty clear. It's like all right, even down to like the sword fighting, I guess.
yeah.
Which
The ending was sad. I just
The
realized.
ending was really sad. Yeah.
It
Well,
was
that,
like
that
they-
was. He's like,
they killed my two favorite samurai.
Yeah, but they also said like the villagers have won, but we didn't.
We
Like,
didn't.
fuck, dude. All this when you lose.
Yeah, they're like, we literally got nothing out of this. Like they were just allowed to eat while that time was happening, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I lost 3 friends, or four. 4 of them died.
Well,
Four.
five of them. Or
Why?
no,
Four.
4 of them.
No,
4 because
four.
there's 7. Yeah, yeah.
Four.
And did you notice that all of them died by guns?
No, I didn't realize
No,
that.
I hadn't noticed that.
Like so the
That's
first one got
crazy.
shot, then yeah, no, they all got shot. None of them got stabbed or anything like that.
I wonder why that choice.
Probably. I don't
Okay,
know.
I guess just to like
wonder if it's the
reinforce their
statement.
prowess as like, you know, these were samurai, like they wouldn't have been defeated in combat like by swords because like they would have
Technology killed them.
triumphed. So it's only exactly this newer technology,
Yep.
the death machine would be the only
Just
thing.
from tradition.
The war
Makes
engine.
sense.
I feel like I need to watch it again, but at the same time, I'm like, it's 3.5 hours long. I don't.
So you might watch the cut down version now.
No, I feel like that because that's how it was intended, not like a Snyder cut or anything like that. Because it was that is the original cut. I don't know. I think I would get it on like Blu-ray or something like that, and just when I feel like it, I'd put it on in the background, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious to watch like the Hidden Fortress or something like that because I've heard that one's also good.
Hey, there's like multiple stuff that like inspired. Because I was looking that up.
The Bridge over the River Kwai, that's more of a war movie than anything.
Has he said, George Lucas, like in specifics, like where he drew inspirations from some of these movies? He's like, oh, like this from Star Wars is actually lifted or inspired by this from this other movie. Like that's how I get some of these
A,
ideas came to
a
be.
lot of like Kakikoro, whatever, the farmer dude. I can't pronounce their name. I'm too white for it.
Rikichi or a
The
different one?
Mifune's character. He was a
Oh,
farmer.
okay, yeah, yeah. Yes,
Like
yes.
a lot of his
Kikuchi.
characteristics were put into Han,
Hmm.
but also at the same time a little bit of Luke being like the farm boy that wants to become a warrior kind of thing, but more Han than anything. Obviously Obi-Wan is the older samurai.
Yeah.
Um,
Mentor.
but it was more like how he told a story that he was inspired by, like 3 acts. We're meeting our heroes, we're setting up their characters, then we're
Hmm.
in the middle of we're gonna set
It's
up
their preparation, their
exactly,
training
yeah,
phase.
and then finally the big battle. Because I mean, every single one of George Lucas's things has that. Like from 1 through 6, I wouldn't necessarily say 7 through 8 because that's a little bit weirder. But definitely the original trilogy prequels even had it. Like episode 2, you meet everybody, you meet Django, you meet, and then
Yeah,
the
definitely
middle,
one as well. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, Phantom Menace. I mean, they're training the Gungans, which is this like more primitive or
Well, even going to get
simple.
Anakin and stuff like that off of
Yeah.
um,
Oh, Tatooine. Yeah.
even Revenge of the Sith was like, all right, this is the battle, we're in the war, and in the middle of the movie, there's not a lot of action that happens in Revenge of the Sith. It's a lot of dialogue, and then finally the big battle. Like very much how they Kurosawa set up his movies. Um,
Which is very effective too, because
yeah,
like you get to learn about these characters, which means you care about them, so you're more invested into each one of their fate. So when one of them dies, it means more than if
well,
you're like barely seeing them. If they're just doing impossible shit throughout the entire movie, instead of just like having to watch them train, having to watch them build themselves up to something.
it's like, and despite it being a movie about samurai, it's not a very action-heavy movie. Like that battle is an hour and a half, but even in that battle, there's not a lot happening in terms of
It's a
action.
lot of the downtime. Yeah.
It's a lot about the characters, which I think heavily inspired, especially the original trilogy. I mean, if you think about it, New Hope did not have a lot of action in it at all. It's
Mm-hmm.
mostly like you're mostly just finding out about the characters and being like, I really like Han, I really like Obi-Wan. Um, but yeah, all in all, I really enjoyed it.
I
Kind of,
liked it.
I kind of liked watching something that was inspired by Star Wars and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's definitely different than, obviously from what's coming out today because it's been like X many decades since.
Yeah.
But besides that,
You have
it's
the
like,
time,
oh,
and it's a foreign movie as well. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
Diego,
like,
you mentioned the soundtrack. That's another thing. Like the huge thing for
oh
George
yeah,
Lucas was like a really good soundtrack. He's like, that's what makes a movie, and I mean, this movie had a killer one.
Yeah, you have to have like iconic themes, um, which were definitely just kind of like coming in and out. For the samurai, for the bandits,
Yeah.
um, and then just for the movie itself as well. Yeah, dope soundtrack.
Apparently, it's only 7 minutes long. They just kept reusing the same lines, which makes sense, but it's only like 7 minutes.
What
The
is?
soundtrack is just
Yeah.
like one track.
Yeah.
well, it's like three notes played over and over.
But
Which is so good.
it does get varied though as well, because there are some times where it's more just like there's some segments where it's like just like wood block type instruments, and then you have just like the actual longer stretch notes, just kind of set a scene, keep like an ambiance going. It was dope though. Good theme.
It definitely
song.
makes me want to watch, like you were saying, other movies that had some inspiration on Star Wars in some way or another, just to sort of get piece by piece to see how all of these things came together to tell a story in like a diametrically opposite sort of world. Like
Yeah.
it's different planets, different species, and different environments like that. Whereas this is a very local, small scale story. Because even in the battles, they're kind of doing it like one by one over like a night and a morning. Actually, I think it might be like a day or two that they're
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, I think it's just 2 days basically, right?
I mean, it felt like 2 days watching it.
Yeah, I think the battle itself is because they kind of prod each side, just kind of test the defenses. So they attack on the one side, they have the fence, they attack on the other side.
Yeah.
They have the moat.
And
And they're
they're
like,
like,
all
all
right,
right.
we'll just keep drawing them in here. They'll come in, we'll let one, just go out like that. Then attacking during the night, and then it starts just the waiting for it to be morning.
Because, I mean, George Lucas was inspired by Kurosawa movies and old war movies. So that would be that's
Places
where
to look.
the war movies would be probably where he gets the action and stuff like that, I would assume. Whereas the Kurosawa movies would be more the character driven side of things. Which, I mean, obviously has worked out because Star Wars is as big as it is.
Good marriage.
Maybe in a couple weeks we'll watch Over the Bridge over the River Kwai or something like that.
Yeah, if you could like compile us a little list just to be able to go through it.
Yeah, I have that on my desk by Monday.
Honestly,
Bridge over the River Kwai. Let's see. Oh, is it Japanese as well? I didn't realize that.
Bridge over the what?
Oh, no. Bridge over the River Kwai. It's a war movie that's set in the Pacific during World War II.
Interesting.
it's probably
David
some like,
Lean
strategically
did it.
important bridge that they need to defend or destroy.
Just how long is this movie?
Might be
it's
good
only,
to like.
it's only
look-
160
look at-
minutes.
Oh, easy. Probably be good to like see what are the things that what things from the movie inspired Star Wars before watching it. That way you look out for.
Mm.
I don't know, each their own. I kind of enjoyed picking it out, being like, especially like the crossfades with this one. I was like, oh, that's the crossfade.
Yeah.
Oh, my dumbass won't figure it out.
That's
Dude.
fair. Well, I think we have talked about that fairly enough. Have you guys watched the Bad Batch trailer at all?
Oh,
No, I was
no,
trying not
fuck.
to. I did watch, I think, half the trailer, and I was like, well, I don't want to risk it getting too spoilery, narrative or visual.
Fair enough.
What is that
But
one going to be
I'm,
about?
I'm ready. So I don't know if you watched the last season of Clone Wars. I think
No.
you were actually still watching the show. So not to get too spoilery, but they introduce the Bad Batch, which is basically a squad
Yeah.
of certain clones who are different than other clones. Like, I guess they were technically would be defects, because like one of them is just like literally a foot taller than the other ones. He's like super ripped and strong. But they each have like their own like more unique skill set. So they're almost this like more elite unit that just kind of goes out and they do their own mission sort of thing. So they come in on season 7 of Clone Wars. You're introduced to them, the characters, and they're pretty cool actually. And I guess the show is just going to follow them. Would it just be after season 7? Then,
Yeah,
right?
it's immediately after
After
Order
it.
66.
Okay, nice.
Damn.
So are these like a group of people who are like when it
Yeah,
gets
they're-
Order 66 and
Well, we don't really know what happened. The theory is that they don't have chips in their head, so that
shit.
when they got the order, they just were like, okay, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like that doesn't mean anything. Like you didn't. I'm not a sleeper agent. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I don't know what you want me to do.
because the whole trailer is like Tarkin being like, these guys don't follow orders, they don't do anything. We need the
Which is kind of already their narrative too. Like they were the bad
So
boys of the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Was
And
it
I
they
mean, the
were,
first
like,
episode is going to be 70 minutes
Squad
long. So
99 or whatever.
Clone Force 99, yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. 99.
Which is named after
would come
the
out May 4th.
yeah May
So
4th,
the-
70 minutes long. I'm ready for it. And then the next episode comes out on Friday, the following Friday.
Hell
Have
yeah.
they said how many episodes for the first season?
At least 14. There's rumored to be 22.
Crap.
Damn.
That's a lot.
Yeah, the rumored to be 22
Okay.
to bring us right till Book of Boba.
Should I get through them in Clone Wars before watching it, or
Yeah, because I mean, it's a
You have
pretty
time. Yeah, you're like 2 months
Alright.
away.
Clone
Or
Wars it
a month.
is.
go through because it's I mean it's a pretty direct. It's basically Clone Wars season 8.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I
the
honestly don't
whole
remember where I left off.
the whole announcement trailer for Bad Batch was like the Clone Wars logo, and then it burned away and revealed the Bad Batch logo. So that's the kind of the thing they're going for. Either way, I'm excited for it. Like elite forces
Yeah.
of elite squads of troops is my favorite story. So I'm all
I'm
about
just
it.
googling it up a bit. It looks really interesting.
And Rex is gonna be in it, and I'm for it.
Oh, okay.
All about it.
I'm on the last season of the original run, and like the Inhibitor Chips episode is what I just watched.
That's a brutal
Yeah, you're on
episode.
season 6, dude.
Mhm.
Right? Yeah.
So
You're
then
good,
I
man.
have the newer one to go, and then I'm ready.
Good old
Oh,
Yeah,
you're still
7
catching
is
up in
just,
Clone
I
Wars?
think-
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 7 is just 12 episodes, which is 3 separate narrative arcs.
one of which you can probably skip.
Yeah, I don't want to like get like shit on it, but yeah, there's one that I think is weaker than the other two.
Yeah.
It's not the Bad Batch one. The Bad Batch one is very cool, and then the last act.
The last one is awesome.
Arc.
It's some of the best Star Wars ever, and some of the coolest
The middle
shots
one
we've
that's-
seen.
Absolutely, you can tell like okay, they definitely amped the budget. It helps that like Disney was like, you know what? Here's some of the mouse's money. Go ham. The animation quality. Ooh, if you go back, I don't know how often you go back to just like switch between the newer seasons and the earlier seasons, Cook, but it is such a stark.
It's such a
It's
big
like
difference.
like in every respect, just the facial animation quality, the body movement, the actual scenery,
Yeah.
how filled in everything is, just even down to like the kinds of effects. Like it's just simple. Like in the first season, it's like you will maybe have a background, like a skybox of some sort, the ground that they're standing on, and then the characters themselves, and that will be it.
Yep.
And then these newer ones,
Community
you have like
render distance.
you have like lighting
There's never
coming in.
atmosphere.
You have movement in the background. There's shapes going back and forth, and like there's foreground elements at play. Like it's just so way better. All the movement is leagues ahead.
Like if you
Instead of
watch
them just like skating across the ground.
the first Clone Wars, like the movie that came out to
Mhm.
basically like launch Clone Wars,
Introduce us so good.
it was like yeah, exactly. It looked like each of the character models was like a child had made like a paper mache body and is like, this is a character. It's brutal.
3D
Like action figures, like stiff.
Yeah.
Like the voice acting has always been good, but like some of that animation was rough. And I mean, it was like 2008, so the animation's come a long way. But yeah.
Yeah, because it looks like it was all just hand animated back then on the computer, so they're like physically or manually having to go in
Yeah.
and move each limb. Where definitely in the 7th season, there's absolutely motion capture.
Oh yeah, the
and I was
whole
telling you, it was like you can literally tell. There's like scenes where like Maul specifically, like he's doing some shit, and I'm like, that was a real person.
that was Ray
Like,
Park. It was
Yeah, I'm like, this is so. I don't know. It just felt so real.
It was
was
like
cool.
it was a guy that played Darth Maul in Phantom Menace that did the mocap for Clone Wars. So I mean, he moved like Maul. Anyway, just figured
And you could tell.
when Bad Batch comes out, we'll obviously be talking about it. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
catch up the other two.
Yeah, no worries.
Closer. I'm gonna race to the finish, man.
Doing a lot of Star Wars this year, dude.
No kidding. You're getting into inspirations. You
It's
even
literally
read a
because
book?
of this podcast.
He's got to keep up with your homework.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Now write me an essay by Friday, please.
fuck that. Let's not push our luck here.
Nah, the next one I might have to bring a little notepad just because I watched a 3.5-hour movie and I had like 3 things to say about it. And I enjoyed the
Well, the
movie,
thing
but
Well, there was 3 acts, so there's only 3 things to say.
But no, like the movie was, at least to me, I guess that it was slower paced. But I just kind of like forgot that I was maybe even supposed to be looking out for all this, and I was just like engrossed in the story. I was like, oh, I just want to see where these characters are going.
That's
I'm
exactly
invested
what I
in
did
that.
too.
I'm like,
seeing it in a
what is
vacuum.
going on? Yeah.
I basically made my food and watched it for however long. In the intermission, I'm like, oh, there's a good thing there's an information. I gotta take a pee.
Yeah.
Get more food.
We just watched the intermission. We went to go get a snack and then came back.
I skipped right over it.
Side
Oh, you did a
sideswipe a
full
little
sitting.
bit. Did you guys see the vintage collection that got added to Disney Plus? I think actually
No.
literally on my birthday.
Is this like movies from the vault that they're putting out? or-
Yeah, basically the old
Oh, shit.
like. So
Oh.
you remember
Depot Willie?
the guy that did Samurai Jack? He did like the Clone Wars animated shows.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, is that on there?
Yeah, they just put
The
that.
one that's like random, like 3 and 5 minute long episodes. type
Yeah,
stuff?
they basically just put them out as 2 movies because there's 2 seasons more or less. So it's like an hour and a half each, more or
I've
less.
been meaning to check that out because
They're
I've seen
dope.
random little it's like there's literally just like a couple scenes, like the one where it was just kind of like showing some of Grievous's uh, backstory. There's one where it's just Mace Windu just like going absolute sicko mode.
Yeah,
Like, okay, dude, why were you doing any of this in the movies? But okay.
there's like speeder lances and stuff like that. We get dirge. Like it's pretty dope. And then they also added the old Ewok movies. They're so bad, so bad.
There's multiple ones.
And then there's multiple. So like the first one. I hope you don't care about spoilers, but there's not much to spoil. The first one is about this family that crashes on Endor, like, and the Ewoks help them out, and their parents get kidnapped by this monster that eats Ewoks, whatever. And so that whole movie is them getting their parents back. Great, happy ending. The second movie, first 10 minutes, the parents get shot, brutally murdered by raiders. Like, it's insane. But yeah, and then so they've added a bunch of that. So there's they also added the animated section of the holiday special is on there now. And then as well as the animated Ewok show, which is basically Ewoks, but if it was Care Bears.
Interesting.
Honestly, I would probably only recommend watching the Clone Wars stuff unless you really want to like go down some weird rabbit hole. Like if it's only for people with nostalgia. Clone Wars is legitimately good. But yeah.
Actually,
all right. Well, thanks for putting up with that and watching a 3.5 hour movie, Adrian. I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, dude, I'm happy I watched it, man. It wasn't a waste of 3 hours. I would just take an hour.
Was it a 3.5 hour movie, Lady Bird for you, or?
Oh, dude, I was thinking about coming in and being like, yeah, I didn't finish the movie.
I don't think it was that good.
Totally forgot about that.
For context, Adrian did not like Lady Bird, and he didn't finish the movie, so he.
No.
15 minutes and walked out.
No, I gave it an hour.
That's fair. That's a good chunk.
But I also watched it at home. And, yeah, I gave it an hour, and I was like, the person who was watching it with, we were both like, can we not finish this? Like, yeah, let's not.
Which is funny because I love that movie. So like I have it in 4K.
Yeah,
It's a good movie.
It's a great movie.
Have taste.
Nah, I'm sorry for your wasting money.
Okay. Well, a little bit of a shorter episode, but we're specifically talking about a movie. But hope everybody goes and watches the movie because I think it's not only
worth a watch.
Yeah, I think it's not even
definitely worth the
important
watch.
for Star Wars, but just movies in general. Like it's
It's shorter than the Snyder Cut, and a lot of people watching Snyder Cut. There's no excuse.
And it
You
is
watch a 4 hour. I'll watch a 3.5 hour movie.
Yeah, and shot for shot better than the Snyder Cut. Snyder Cut wasn't bad, but it was shot for shot way better. Like it needed the 3.5 hours as opposed to the 4. Anyway, thanks for joining. Have a good day and see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Erp.